Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the VXP targets. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about the 170 where they've, tried to nerf the use of the pinch, or at least make it much less effective, and show that on the Wednesday show we weren't wrong. They made additional change afterwards to the heavy weapon that we were not privy to at that point in time. So let's say hello. Well, one more thing. If anybody, I have not gone into the VXP targets because all my ships are, because of the long build times, I don't have any ships to put into them because I bought the VXP VXP tokens prior. So I'm going to post the link in case anybody has a ship that has, a weapon, maybe an engine and a special and whatnot, so that we could play around in the VXP targets, the range special, so we can see some things with the range and the proper speed and whatnot. So I'm going to post that link, and the priority would be anybody that has that and be willing to play around in that target with us. So the link is in the right-hand side. Let's say hello to everybody. Lady Cat.
Hello.
Magic Mike.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Derpy.
Hefe wants to play around with you.
Yep. And Tudor, are you feeling pretty?
I'm feeling on fire.
Okay, very good. Just as good. All right, let's move to the calendar so we can get to BP next week. Alrighty, we are in the 10.34 update. FM, VXP weekend, which we'll talk about. And maybe we'll talk about the FM, the August drinking contest, the design diary, which we talked about on Wednesday. We'll probably get into that a little bit. The PV Hall calendar, which will be right next, and followed by next week with Bounty 35, with the release of the new PvE Defender. It was originally supposed to be a flagship, but we'll see if it is a flagship. But we've gotten some information about it.
The artwork says flagship, so...
Yeah. Okay, we'll see what the impact it has on the rest of the... we don't have the stats to say, flagship normally means it impacts the rest of the... well, I guess it does have those auras, so yeah, I guess it is a flagship. So one more click. All right. Next week, well, this just sort of interferes with... Let's go to BP next week and then come back to this. So one more click. Alrighty. We are going to see Titan's Awakening, a Mega one, Mutineer and the Bounty, which is the Mutineer upgrade, build, tech, whatever, and sort of Legion, new for the Gladius, which I expect to be sort of the Gladius version of Mutineer and the Bounty, with upgrade tokens, build tokens, tech for everything. And then August Bounty, the new Tier 9 Defender, the Overlord Carrier, plus its weapons, weapon. And all right, any thoughts on this? But Lady Cat, can you go back to take a look? You'll notice there's no special event here. So let's go back a slide. Anything on BP next week, anybody?
No, looks pretty standard.
Okay.
So we have Bounty, and we have the Gladius TLC. That seems like enough to keep me busy.
Yeah.
And the FM.
Oh, yeah, which you have to
you
do 3 times a week if you repair.
Yeah.
Yes. So
if I auto targets, I can do 8 of them on one Everest fleet, and I have to do 24 total for my prizes.
And at least the Conqueror and the PvE and the PvP repairs are separate now. So you can do bounty and PvE at the same time. That is good.
Well, at least conquerors.
Right. So you can do two things at once, whether it's the FM and bounty or the TLC and bounty. You can sort of do both at once.
You can't do your defenders in FM. I was just making more specific.
You can't. Okay.
Than
True.
PvP.
You'll have to choose one of the PvEs to do at the same time. Right.
Is that a bong? Well, we're still not sure.
It's a water
We're
bottle.
here in California, so we're still not sure. Could be a bong. Got a tube going down into the water, then you're sucking on one end. It could be a bong, right?
Every water bottle. is a bong,
Yes, that's. If you have enough
Every water bottle could double as a bong.
if you have enough
Oh my god!
if you have enough creativity.
I was with the engineering students, and they could probably do some weird stuff like that if they wanted to.
Well, just give them an apple and they're good. But all right. But as we see here, there's a special activity supposed to be TBD. I'm guessing this is supposed to be in September. And then we have a TBC for October. I think the TBC, the To Be Canadian and To Be Decided are actually going to take place in September. No idea what that special activity is going to be. So
I wouldn't be super surprised if they also did one in October on Halloween.
okay.
Yeah,
So-
they usually do something.
In addition to whatever else we have going on that week.
Yeah. Because I wanted to go and okay, go to slide 22. Okay. This is my expectation for the Gladius TLC, that we're going to see basically all this stuff mirrored. We're going to see Mutiny on the Bounty next week, but the expectation based on months and months of repetition is that we are going to see something like this happen, where we're going to get basically the limited tech, upgrade tokens, upgrade kits, builds, potentially even the Stone Cold. How many Stone Colds do you have at this point, Lady Cat?
5.
Oh, you're down to 5.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So, and more of the Capulus cannon. So, just keep this in mind that that this will be an important TLC for everybody.
Yep, and you'll probably need to space it out. Do a little bit every day.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this my main priority, personally, because we'll have this, and then we'll have pillage to get the remainder of the Capulus cannons. There'll probably be the opportunity to at least purchase the what was the limited special?
Mass something.
The limited was Ballistic Battery 2.
Right.
Yeah, ballistic battery too. So, all right. If you want to go back to slide, I don't know, 3 or 4.
We're done with BP next week.
Well, that's week 4. So, oops, a lot of things moving on here. So,
I think I just broke Hefe.
yeah. I mean, why don't you bring up what you
So I just saw. So we were doing some. This is shifting to sort of a Gladius build stuff. We were talking on the show about how the cannons are not a very big improvement over the Tyrant Siege cannons, right? Especially if they were retrofitted up to R10. So some people today were thinking, why don't we just and the Tyrant Cannon has a much shorter build time, losing like 1% damage. Let's just save a day on every ship, build Tyrant Cannons instead. Then a message from Gilly in Discord saying, hey, guess what? We're looking at buffing the Tyrant, or we're looking at buffing the Pharaoh Cannon and the limited one, so that they work better than the Tyrant.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's all gonna, I wish I hadn't changed the slides because then the previous slides, go to slide 11, even though I've changed it, so it no longer has some of these weapons in it. Let's just go through a quick little thing, but some of the stuff that we're going to get back to what Derpy's talking about. I just wanted to get out of the way what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. What you see on the left is what was originally released with a for the Scorpio heavy railgun. I used to have comparisons of the different weapons in there. I'm sorry I don't have that anymore. But you see it had a damage of 100, a reload time of 6, no evade bonus, and that's what we had going into the show. And then on last Wednesday's show, one more click. Okay. I'm sorry, it's a little fuzzy. I took it from the YouTube. They upped the building and wall damage by 3.5, and they kept the reload time the same. And then we complained that they nerfed it because based on potential specials, reload bonuses, and whatnot, there was a reduction in damage. And then after the show, they changed that reload time from 6 to 2.
And they did that by taking the entire briefing off forums for at least half an hour, maybe even like 3 hours.
Oh.
Which was a little bit weird to just, it didn't seem very well thought out.
Maybe we touched them in a bad place. That's what it feels like. But
well, we wouldn't want to do that.
No, we wouldn't want to do that. But there was a change as far as, going from nerfing it to buffing it. So the heavy railgun, as you said earlier, has a basically it gives your fleet equipped versus non-equipped has a increase of you said somewhere around 17% damage.
Yeah, 17% damage per second, depending on exactly what build you go for.
Okay. But go back into I'm sorry I don't have a slide for this comparing the Tyrant to the Pharaoh. Do you have slides for this or no?
I do not.
Okay. I'm not even sure the best way. Did you want to go? Let me see.
Bring it up.
Let me see. You can start talking about it. I can change the slides if I can get the game to load, and add to those slides as far as the comparison to them. But if you know enough off the top of your head, or if you want me to screen share you, so you can show the comparison between the two weapons and how they are so comparable if they're contemplating changing them. Well,
I know enough to talk about that. So the Tyrant Siege Cannon up to R10 deals just a hair less, like 400 damage less, and that's when you have 54k. So you're doing almost the exact same damage as the Pharaoh Cannon, using the older one that has a much shorter build time, a significantly shorter build time. So you're doing the same. You're doing pretty much the same damage with a lower build time. So you could just use that if you have them already, and save a day per ship, which is 5 days. 5 days total across the fleet. Okay. Now, because of this, because people discovered this, started talking about it, Kixeye is talking about potentially making changes to buff the Pharaoh, so it's better than the Tyrant, and also therefore buff the limited Capulus, so it becomes even better. Now,
Okay.
buffing the Capulus before we've seen the raid target won't do anything with our performance and raid. They'll just raise the health of the enemy buildings by that amount. But it will mean that anyone who wanted to put Tyrants on and save some build time with some out-of-the-box creative thinking gets screwed over a little bit.
Okay. Mike, do you want to also send me the Tyrant?
Yeah, I'm looking for it, actually.
Okay. He's sending me this stuff because I'm, so I can put them next to each other so people can see what the issue is. But most people like to, see things. Let's see. Unless anybody can get it, I just need the stat block for the Tyrant. And
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
well, you don't need to go through the blueprints. You can do it through your
Oh, yeah, I can.
SkipYard and just give me the stat block, not the whole blueprint.
Okay, I'm doing that.
Sorry, it's not live math, but it's live slides. So, the Pharaoh has a damage of 49,896 with a reload time of 4 and a weight of 2,700. Do you know off the top of your head what the build time for that is, Drippy?
I know at a fully equipped weapons lab, if you put on 8 Tyrants, it's 1 day, 5 hours, and then 8 Capulus is like 2 days, 1 hour. And that's refitting onto a Gladius.
Okay, so this is about the 90% increase in refit time?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
sorry, no.
Okay. Just waiting here real quick, and then we'll get to that. There we go. 1 second. Game loaded. 1 second, and design mode. All right, limited. 1 second, and then Tyrant. I got it, Mike.
Oh, it's limited. That's the problem.
Yeah. 1 second.
I got it now too.
Yeah, I got it. All right. Alrighty, and all right, Lady Cat, do you want to refresh and go to slide 5? Okay. As you see, the only difference between these two is 0.8 seconds reload time, but once you start adding in specials, we never get the Pharaoh down to with any builds down to 0.2 seconds, correct?
Correct. It's not you can't do it with anything that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so there's still a 20% difference, though, between 4 and 4.8.
Yeah, but Mike, you don't have yours up to R10. If you do get it up to R10,
no,
do you have it at R10? Yeah, it's R10.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 and 4.8, but once you're fully skulled, it will drop to like 1 versus 1.2. It is a difference.
Yeah, it's 20%. It's 20%. It's 20% increase in DPS in the Pharaoh cannon. Because it's still going to scale the same, once you reduce the reload time, unless one of them, unless the Pharaoh cannon gets down to 0.2 seconds. So it's still a 20% increase. It's not a huge increase, but it's still 20%, which is, I don't want people to be bugging them to, push power creep, because 20%, it feels like it is enough, right?
That does, yeah.
Generally, yes.
Yeah, so I don't really see a reason that that I think that they need to go out and change it, because they're still going to balance it for whatever the new damage is on the ferrocannon. It's still going to be damaged. It's still going to be balanced that way as far as the targets go. So I don't know. It's just a 20% increase between 4 and 4.8. So I don't know.
With saving on the building time. So
Yeah, I guess if you're not planning on getting it done, the change. Hey, I'll throw this one out there as a why don't we reduce the build times on the tier 9.5s?
There you go.
I'd be happy with that. Don't need to increase the damage on them. Just reduce the build time to, instead of being 90% better, make it 20%. 90% more, make it 20% more, and that would probably solve the problem. So. Lego's getting a false positive. So, all right. We've gotten probably a little bit in the weeds for certain people, but do we want to talk about the? I put the link up there on the right-hand side in case anybody has a ship that's sort of partially together, so we can sort of play around with the new target. Because Derpy, you only have you don't have any specials in one weapon, right? And I don't think anybody else has anything.
Mine are all blanks.
I have a few that are equipped, but one's refitting, 2 are repairing.
Okay.
I did have a chance to play around earlier, but there's not a whole lot I could learn because I only did have one weapon on everything.
Okay. So, but you could still learn about the range of the weapons and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, and like I said in the pre-show, I put up some slides. So if you want me to share those,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Okay. Am I up?
You were up.
Okay, basically this is all subject to change, and Kixeye could screw you over again like they did with the Punisher Mark II last time and change how the targets work, but they probably won't. Is that a good enough disclaimer?
Okay.
First weapon, number 1, Harpoon. It's a standard long-range ballistic turret, except it deals splash damage. It's that hole. It tracks you and shoots at you, but then deals splash. So maybe if you're able to forget that combat speed, that line shouldn't be on there. Long range, accuracy splash turret. So even if it misses,
so it's accurate. Did we ever get a conclusion as far as this accuracy-based splash damage thing? If it hits you based on accuracy, and then if it doesn't, because it kept on going back and forth. If it hits you, it doesn't do splash, or it does.
If it hits you, or if it misses, it does splash wherever it lands.
Okay,
that's my current understanding. It was at one point my understanding if it missed, it did nothing, but the Kixeye employee told me that may have been mistaken.
Okay.
So I guess I could ask for clarification on that.
Okay.
But this basically evade won't work, and if you're driving stacked, it will hit all 5 of your ships. And it has range that's significantly longer than yours at 75, but not insane like 3,000.
Hey, don't talk about my range.
Okay, I won't talk about
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not a large threat. Next we have
It's not a large threat, meaning it doesn't do a lot of damage?
It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's nowhere near as high damage as the other turrets in here, or some of the other turrets.
Okay. And how many launchers are there? Is there just one, or is there
the ballistic harpoons? There's like 8.
No, but how many launcher types? Because you got into the launcher, so I'd moved on to that one.
Oh no, this is a launcher. There's one launcher. Yeah,
and then the other one was a thrower. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We have a launcher, about same range, outranges you easily. Medium damage, and evade does work against this. I've seen it missing my ship and doing no damage. So evade works against this thing. It's a long range damage source, and both of these two things are like confirmed damage.
Okay. So as far as looking at that, did you see any evidence of a shockwave?
No, I never saw a shockwave. And in fact, it had pretty low accuracy, so it only hit like 1/2 the time, maybe even 1/4 of the time at a decently high evade. Okay. So I never saw a shockwave, and it appeared to be not doing any splash damage. But this was the only turret that evade work with. Well, pretty much. Okay. Now we have the thrower. This is radioactive short range, medium or even high damage. And it has a range short enough that you can outrange it on auto. So I ballparked that at 65. It might be 68, might be 64, whatever. Okay. If that's with the mass moment stabilizers, if you've got that range on there, it will work. You can outrange it, no worries. Now, if you still drive inside, you'll take thrower damage, like an area of effect thing, red fire pool. And it does damage anyway. Evade doesn't work against this because it's a thrower. Okay. But if you are someone who wants to put lowered cannon mount 1 or lowered cannon mount 2 on your ship, for example, and reduce your range from 75 down to like 60 or 64 or whatever, this thing will shoot at you. Okay. Okay. So that's my worry, is if you go lower cannon mount 2, this thing is going to start shooting at you. Okay. Now there's the fun part. It's a ballista, and you got like firing arcs here. Maybe 150, maybe 200 range. But as a firing arc, you can't avoid it depending on how they set up the target up. It deals insanely high damage and like 2-shot at one of my Punishers. Okay. And it's accuracy based, so evade would work, but you have to have really, really, really high evade. For example, a ship with 70 evade took 4 shots without one missing, then it died. So Brian might be able to tell you the chances of that happening if it was a 50-50 chance getting 4 in a row. At 70% evade or whatever.
You said it hit every time or it missed every time?
It hit every time. Okay.
Assuming they have 100% accuracy, a 30% chance to hit 4 times in a row is going to be 0.09. Yeah, that's under 1%. Assuming they have an accuracy of 100.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the best case scenario for us.
For us. Yeah. Now then I took in my ship that had an evade of 97. At least that's what it said in the stat block. I don't think it's quite that high. It might be more like 90. I think the stat block lies once you get past a certain amount. That time, that one shots were missing. So if you get to a really high evade that's probably unrealistic of these targets, it can miss. Mm-hmm. If you put lower cannon mount 2 and guidance scrambler 3 on there, it might start missing some. But I wouldn't count on it. It's going to do pretty high damage if you go through the firing arc. So I'm guessing here might only be in the skill targets. Sort of like how the Typhoon was only in the skill targets, or if you want to call it driving versus auto target, you could call it that.
Okay. So looking at this, I mean, in the VXP target, the damage from the ballista was easily avoidable by hitting them from the back, right?
Yeah, although, they're going to be a bit trickier set up in various targets that we see in the raids and the TLCs and stuff, but
yeah, but when I look at that
from the back.
Yeah, whatever. I don't ask permission. But if you want to go one back, looking at these three, I'm thinking that they've sort of avoided the tank design recently, but it seems like that an evade tank might make sense. That you might want to put evade on your flag to limit the damage you take from the phlogiston.
Yeah,
and you might want to put more. You might want to put more radioactive on that. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't want to drive an evade tank. I don't know.
Yeah, well, with just these three choices,
and then the harpoon, because it's splash damage. It's if you drive a tank, it will hit that one versus all five. So
yeah, but unless you just tank on, that one. Yeah, always. You're talking about as far as what kind of armor you would put on there, because you would need to have both ballistic and radioactive armor on your tank.
That's what I was thinking a little bit.
Yeah, if you have a consistent tank. So as far as the I think that's good information moving forward, because there's I don't know, do you want to bring up your base so we can run through like what makes sense up to this point? Because there's like four specials that are like there's four specials that are are easy. I know Mike likes these where okay, well, these four specials you can put on your ship right away, right? And then there might be some other ones to wait for more information.
Yeah, let me bring that up.
Okay.
So I have it if you put my screen back up.
Okay.
And so
yeah.
So basically, what we're saying is if you go with weapons, it's pretty much the Pharaoh cannon, Capitalist cannon. Those will be better. At the end of the day, those will be better. If you want to have 20% worse, and maybe even more than that worse, the Tyrant might be an option. But I'm just going to stick all Capitalist cannons. Fairly happy with that.
Yeah, because because you can't put countermeasures on, just so everybody knows. So there's no need to even think about counters. Okay.
Yeah, special one that everyone should do is the engine, your best one, out of the V42 rock block and the Stone Cold speed engine.
Yeah.
So
we're still in the WWE, Stone Cold versus The Rock type of thing that they're doing with us. But
yeah, I didn't know Major Rampage was still around. But.
Well, it's obviously somebody else's in there. That's
second choice is the ballistic range booster, and that's gonna be the mass moment stabilizer. There's really not another great option. You could go nuclear accelerators 3 if you wanted to, but this one's better.
Yeah. There's no real okay.
Now then the other one here is ballistic battery 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say one armor of each kind, each flavor, out of the Z2 that gives you plus 3% ballistic damage. So this is pretty much like we're all sure about this thing. And then throw on the heavy weapon if you're at U1. So that's like, we're pretty sure about this. That should give you a few days build time per ship to get things sorted. And the other one that is more of a guaranteed one that we already know here is the drum reloader. Gives you ballistic reload plus 125 and 25% critical chance. If you want to go for autoloader 3, that's the second best option. But drum reloader is really good, not compound armor. That's a lie. or fast feed magazine, not drum reloader. Fast feed magazine.
Okay. Fast feed magazine. I see, because it steps forward. It's odd, like what things stack and what don't stack, but you can still stack this with the.
You can stack this with like everything.
Yeah, but you can still stack it with, something that adds more combat speed, critical chance, and critical damage.
Yeah, you can stack fast feed magazine with the welded barrel system.
Yeah.
And now the options for these last two slots. First, you have to decide if you want to go for lowered cannon mount 2. If you do that, you lose a whole bunch of range. Or alternatively, you can go for high velocity rounds.
Let's see that a little. You also lose a lot of combat speed.
Yeah, you lose 40% combat speed, which is pretty big, and you lose 35% range, also pretty big.
Yeah.
And then you still gain some lower ballistic damage, and you gain some more building damage, etc. But you also gain 50% evade. So do you want to have higher evade, but then lower range, lower combat speed, and lower damage? Or do you want to have high velocity rounds that has a bunch of projectiles, or projectile speed doesn't really matter, that has a bunch of ballistic damage and then some nice building damage, nice wall damage, or
Yeah.
And if you put high velocity rounds here, you have to decide, is evade important? Is it against that one radioactive turret? Do you want to go for Guidance Scrambler 3 and have more evade on there? Or do you want to go for something to do more damage? And your only really choice here is what we were talking about already, is that welded barrel system. So here's one option. Or you go for evade there.
Yeah. Because my current thought, is basically the build that you have, except for what I'm thinking, not knowing about the flag, is I would drop fast feed magazine on the flag, because that doesn't impact your combat speed.
Oh, I see. And put evade on.
We don't know about the flag, and then put Guidance Scrambler 3 on the flag, because just to keep everything moving together if I wanted to run an evade flag.
And then if you want to go crazy and have a lower range, you change out high velocity rounds for lowered cannon mount 2, and then you can, if you want to put, and you can even do this on your other 4, and if you don't have high velocity rounds on there, you can put drum reloaders, because that will stack with the other reload stuff you already have and still gives you some damage. And that's like a tier 5 special. Do you want to? So you can play around with a lot of things, and this will also give you some damage. So there's one option, but I don't want to recommend lower cannon mount 2, because you're getting range of that radioactive short range thrower. So.
Hey, TSM, you have I'm pretty certain that you might have a more what's the word, more developed build than others in regards to peeking and poking at the VXP target. The link's there in case you want to. I can post it again, but the link's there if you want to do some poking so people could actually see the target and some of the dynamics associated with it. I could be incorrect assuming that you're further along than some in regards to your build with that. So
so like the question for me is, lower cannon mount 1, do you want to lose lower cannon mount or not? I'm opting for not. I don't think the range reduction is good.
Okay.
But
yeah. So TSM is thinking about the evade tank as well. So I really hope that we get these targets back in the future, because personally I'm not equipped to go into these targets and learn anything meaningful.
Yeah, I don't really think anybody is.
Yeah, which means I hope it pops out soon so we can, learn more about it because, so, I don't know. Probably, is anybody not, well, I had Lady Cat run through it a little bit as far as, and she was using a trencher. As far as getting free VXP, just hit it from the bottom and kill those 3 silos, and then come in from the top and kill the silo that's next to the thrower.
So let me do that with my hellswarms, and you can tell me what to hit.
Okay.
And
Go
the
from the
bottom
bottom.
right. Bottom right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not my hellswarms. These are my hellswarms.
Because I have not gone anything. I've only peeked them this target, and okay. Take these 3 out. You're not going to get. You're not going. Nothing's going to fire at you, right?
And then something I didn't talk about there in the slides I went through is these fuel silo things. You see, when they die, they emit a red ring, which is plasma damage in that aura, and it
So
does
the
damage to everything in there.
So that ring is bad. See, I thought so, but I
Yeah,
didn't
that
know.
ring is bad. And then this big one right here, if you take in a Gladius and get close to it, this large fuel silo, it does it turns on to like a light brown warning ring, it seems like. And then once you kill this one, it does more damage in a larger area. Now, can I kill anything else in this target?
Well, you could, but it's for like if you go like up to the top, top left,
There's one
left,
silo.
left. See
You
that
get down.
silo? Okay.
Oh, this
See
one
that
by the
silo?
turret.
Yeah. You could outrange that one.
Or just find a new target or something.
Or just
Yeah,
find
but you
a-
might as well maximize this one because
Yeah, I probably should put on a crew.
maybe everybody's doing it, and probably you can take out that turret as well.
Yeah, that's the short range radioactive thrower one.
Yeah.
Yep. I picked my trencher by those what you call them? Those 3 guns on the right hand side at the top.
These harpoons.
Yeah, the harpoons. Got my trenchers in like 3 shots. Boom, dead.
Yeah, because the Gladius has half a million health, and deals 1 billion damage.
Yeah. Trenchers didn't stand a chance.
And is it 500,000 or is it 450 million?
Well, it's 450 million. 470 million. Yes, half a billion.
Okay, 500 million because you said million, so I was just working that out. So as far as getting free VXP, these are if that's what you're showing up for, this seems to be like the easiest way. Stay away from the directional turrets and stay away from these harpoons over to the right. And you should be okay taking out these 4 silos. And I keep on thinking you're getting hit with these UAVs, but yeah.
Nah, they're just coming back.
Yeah.
Show them where the silos are, Derpy.
These
Where
ones down here.
No, not the silos. I'm sorry. The directional turrets.
Oh, the ballistas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they go. So don't think you can circle around.
Yeah. All right. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, we'll just watch Derpy slowly Just target.
This is a fun game.
I don't even have to do XP because I just kicked it a little harder in the raid and got the tokens to do it instead. And that freed me up to get more FM done.
That was such a stress relief.
Yeah, which we need to do.
Yeah, the FM it's hard this time, Brian.
Yeah, I saw the Wednesday show and it's just like, oh yeah, this is, you know the amount that you generally wanted last time. You want to do that again?
Yeah.
No? Well, too bad. And the builds on the Gladius are incredibly long, and they had to change the stats of the heavy weapon because people didn't get it, and now they have to like buff the guns so that the new stuff is better. And it's weird because they're talking about changing the damage, which was it was kind of close normally, and again, they said R10, you're actually ahead. But the armor jumps that they did were a lot more than this, so I'm wondering what their issue with that was. They jumped the armor by so much, and the survival by so much, and it's already generally well accepted that you shouldn't need to you just need to upgrade to the newest tech every time, and that it should just be good and so much better, and you shouldn't have to carry any of the old weapons with you unless there somehow wasn't a new heavy. But we all knew they were going to make a new heavy once we saw that there was a heavy weapon on there. They just did it so poorly.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Where did my other armor plate go?
Mike stole it.
Where's my...
Hang on, Mike.
Yes.
Why
Why
is this not dealing plus 3% ballistic? So I have the C armor. Where's the radioactive one?
Isn't it the next line down?
Yeah, the yellow one on the
end?
on the left was out.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell me I put the wrong armor on my ships.
Uh-oh.
Second left there. Isn't that it?
God damn it. I put the wrong armor on my ships.
Easy enough to do. They look pretty close.
Oh, this one doesn't have it. Okay. I just put...
That one's...
I thought you'd have the two new things next to each other, so I put the new ballistic and the old ballistic, not the new ballistic and the new radioactive.
Don't feel bad. I bought two Stone Cold engines for the FM, thinking that was the new thing, and it wasn't the engine, it was the gun. So we all do stupid things.
I bought 2 Stone Cold Creameries. That was not a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good right now.
Can we please? And when you think about, even back to the FM for a quick second, doubling that point requirement, in addition to all of the other things that are being asked of us, once we get the Gladius upgrading TLC, where it's just 7x6, about 50 targets over the course of a week, and then double the FM and all this other stuff. It honestly makes me wonder how people even keep up on a reasonable schedule. I mean, you can blitz the FM, sure, but nobody really wants to do that. And even repairing after the stuff with coins or tokens, it's just, do you really want to hit the same target over and over again? Like, I've demonstrated mastery by completing the challenge.
I don't want to do it 5 times or 6 times.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, the gameplay, and this really comes to a head in the raids. The first first assault raid of the most recent cycle, to me, felt like a super grind. The only reason I got what I sort of wanted was I had unintentionally taken a sick day, and I got to be home for several extra hours. And that's the only reason that I did well in that raid.
Unintentional, huh?
This game is not worth a sick day for me. This game is barely worth my time. Just doing the same stuff over and over. Like I was autoing it near the end and just taking more spare time because I didn't care.
Yeah. See, that's how I am with the FM. I don't want to do the FM over and over and over again. I'll just auto it and repair. Take longer.
I would so much rather just have like hit a target for 5 million in 5 hours damage, and then walk away for 5 hours. Not hit 100 for instant repair.
Right.
Yeah, because there's the plus and minuses of having, the recycling of targets. From Kixeye's perspective, they have to spend less money using the same targets. We're seeing raid and TLC targets that now are resource targets on the map, and our special titanium, uranium, base parts. But I've already it harkens back to like, okay, I've already hit this a zillion times, and I remember that weekend where I had to hit like 120 of these targets, and I don't really feel like hitting them anymore. But then there's like the positive side. Okay, you know how to hit them, but yeah, I do agree that the ability to auto them for reasonable damage does make sense. But they're no longer fun targets after you've hit them 100 times, right?
Yeah, unless you just need to like send out on something and not think and just sort of be there.
There's this entire genre of games called idle games if you're looking for that. But they're not always even on the spot with they don't always upgrade their raid targets right away. And if they wait long enough, you have the next tier up of ship or half tier up. At which point, well, not always, because they switch the damage types up. And this is probably the reason why. If you have the next tier damage type up properly, then you can auto for very little damage most of the time.
Well, they kept the Reaver glowing nav-relative with Skyfire carriers on the map forever. And then we have a huge jump. I think they forgot about it and got lazy. But the ones they put on map are actually the tier N-1 or N-0.5. So
Faster about that. It's weird because I only really care about the base part targets.
I stepped away for a second. What are you hitting, Drippy? Is this?
This is the Cry Havoc TLC. I had it going on, and I'm just
okay. Oh, good. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, so people know.
Yeah. We went through the 170 on Wednesday. Is there much else that we have left to discuss? Because we've gone through the build for the Gladius.
Well, I don't still know what the build is.
Yeah, well, we've gone through what the information available is. I'm hoping that we see something in the next week or two, maybe two, when people have their ships more prepared for this, because my ships are not, with a long, hull build time, something that they should get away from, so people could participate in VXP weekend in a meaningful way. Meaningful way meaning that we can, players can learn something on their own, as far as how this the dynamics of the target. But yeah, I mean, I have an idea as far as what I want to do, And when we've talked about how to get free VXP out of these targets. We haven't really covered too much on the Everest, but I don't know that anything has changed since Wednesday. Have you changed your build yet, Derpy, to
I have
the
not.
the evil build?
If 3 months from now the evil build high velocity rounds is still better, I will refit.
Yeah.
If while the 160 is still here and I can do it with my build for instant repair, be it in base,
Yeah.
I don't care enough.
Yeah, I haven't got to using one small long pinch. I mean, I was getting so close. I didn't use a crew, but I got so close to getting in. It was a little over 5 minutes. Using one pinch and hitting it in one fell swoop with no crew. But yeah, it still takes a lot with the point requirement or the point ask that we're currently enduring in regards to getting the heavy weapon for the Gladius.
It is quite pricey.
Yeah. So I don't know, anybody in the YouTube chat or whatnot, or anybody wants to jump on and ask any additional questions? Because otherwise, I think we're unless they change something during the show that I'm unaware of, I think we've sort of run out of current topics.
Take the HTML5 survey and tell them what's broken. If enough people do, they might eventually fix something after 3 months of them knowing about it.
We keep telling them that the health bar is broken, and they keep fixing it, and it breaks.
And it works some of the time. It doesn't work others.
That's the main reason I don't use it.
Yeah.
That's if they would fix that and it would stay fixed, then I would probably try it more often. That's my biggest holdup with it.
Okay. And it doesn't appear that they've translated the what they did in the raid with the longer lead-in times that a lot of people complain about that use HTML5.
There was a long lead-in for the VXP target.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to see that at least in all future targets. And I wish they would go back retroactively and implement them in all the old targets too, especially player bases, and make them stop starting my base attacks before I have a chance to join the battle and I hit someone's Great Hall or warehouse or radio tower or outpost or dock, and the battle starts without me and I'm forced to hit it with that fleet or risk losing.
Yeah, and TSM just managed to hit 10 170s with the evil Everest fleet. And the reason I call it, because I did ask one of the people at Kixeye, and he didn't quite understand it. He seemed to completely not understand it. If was the K2 a mistake? And he didn't seem to understand what I was talking about, because currently you get much, we've talked about this before, but I'll go through this again. The high velocity rounds provide much better results because the increased projectile speeds provide much better, much more efficient countermeasures and limit your damage. But the K2 came out with the Everest, and when it came out with it, it also is incompatible with high velocity rounds. So what I'm waiting for, and some people are waiting for, is are they going to provide an elegant solution to this? Are they going to provide a special that increases projectile speed and maybe
more upgrades or the flag?
Yeah, mortar reload, or are they going to provide something
They
that
better.
that make well, it's because it's we trusted them on this.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I trusted them. And I
Yeah,
feel like they let me down.
yeah, because we don't have a lot of information about the targets before they're released, and then they release, okay, this is the newest, bestest thing, and it doesn't really, it's not the best solution. But when are we going to get, if and ever are we going to get the best solution to this? Are we, are they going to change the targets? That's probably not the, reducing the projectile speed of the incoming turret fire that you get. Probably not. I mean, but are we going to get an engine that also increases projectile speed, or are we going to get what are we going to get that's going to make what they sort of put out there as the latest and greatest, make it the best thing? Or are they not going to do that, and we're just sitting there, waiting in vain, so to speak?
I went with the Kick Special because I really did trust them that this was the right way to go, that they wouldn't put this out unless it was important, and that tech would come along to make it better than the other build that people are using. But I really regret my decision now. I should have gone with the better build.
But unless you were, but you didn't have any information that would show that it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't tell, and it was all a surprise. The Everest itself was a surprise, remember?
Yeah. So, but, I'm reticent to change back because I have faith that they're trying to do it the right way, but it doesn't. But they're also reticent at times to make changes in a timely manner when they realize something is broken. We've seen this multiple times because the player is like, oh, I already coined this, I already coined that. And maybe they're waiting for those people to be like, okay, I didn't coin that. I coined that so long ago, so I got everything taken care of. So I don't know. I really don't know. I'm still sticking with the K2 build. It's not awful, but it's not great. But I'm going to feel silly and months from now, if I still have it, and then they haven't released anything to change that.
I mean, historically, there have been some either specials or things that have come out with fleets that ended up making things worse. So we went backwards to make things better, which is why everybody looks to do that now. So I mean, it's happened before. I just hope this team does look at it and figure out the right path, and then tell us what it is. If they're gonna.
They don't need to. Yeah, I mean, they don't need to tell us what. I mean, yeah, it's tricky, because it is a strategy game, and it's difficult, with not having a lot of the information that I think you need in order to make the decisions. And you need to make the decisions across 5 ships or 4 ships or whatnot. Makes it a little difficult at times.
Yeah.
So.
Given that the K2 and HVR are only about 10, 15 minutes, even half an hour difference, I'm not super upset with HVR working that well. But
you're not upset with it because
sometimes the old stuff can be better. It is a strategy game, multiple different options. I can do the targets okay. Sure, TFSM can do them better, but I can still do them okay. And we're talking about in the 160, 10 minutes versus 5 minutes damage. So,
Well, I'm getting close to 5 minutes with the K2, but yeah, but it's still. I always the reason, my only motivation to keep on hitting targets in the raids where I've already hit 120 targets is to get better every time and try and figure out not the build is a tricky thing to adjust, but the driving style. So I want to know a lot of information about what I'm about to hit prior to spending all the time building it. A little tweak here and there on the build, but once it gets multiplied by 5 and it's a day, it's tricky, especially with all the things that are all the asks on our shipyards. So
Hefe, you were aware while I was talking about this, I think, but I was mentioning about how they've had to, how you were saying they had to change the stats of the newer guns to make sure they were better than the older guns. I think the only time that I'm okay with the old stuff being better than the new stuff is in the case of specials, because they can't just keep making so many new specials every time that everything becomes obsolete. And I mean, they do try, because there's usually 2 to 3 specials in a raid and one of them's limited, so you got to get it X5. But it feels nice to have, oh, this thing that I got years ago works well. And I think the only corollary to that is that if that becomes available frequently enough through things like pillage and such, like HVR is just good. Hyper 30 is just good, but it's not great. You don't always put Hyper 30 on, but if you need a little bit of everything, you're not sure what's good for a 6 slot, Hyper 30 is not a bad choice. Or you can come up with some crazy builds that focus on, let's say, projectile speed for countermeasures, and then HVR is amazing. And yeah, it's really good now, but there need to be trade-offs in different choices, and it's a really weird balancing act.
But it's sort of but it should. Don't you think it should? If you have this older, 2-tier behind technology, do you think at that point in time that technology should at least stack with the newest and greatest that they just put out? Do you think it should stack in such a way that you could take advantage of this? Because when you put this on your ships, you had no idea what even the targets looked like. And so it feels, we're working out of a place of ignorance at that point. And that's part of my issue, that we don't know what's going on with these targets. And we're asked to build ships and spend, 20 hours on a special across 5 ships. So you spent 5 days building this, but you had no information on it. So you should at least, I think, be able to assume that the latest stuff should be the best stuff if it doesn't stack with something else. Or I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I could be completely wrong on this, but it just feels like it feels more honest as far as okay, this is the way you should do it and whatnot.
No, I agree with that for the most part. The newest stuff should be the best if it's not allowed to stack, and there aren't any weird stacking restrictions. I think that can be an interesting signal to send to the players, actually, if a lot of separate kinds of something do stack when they normally aren't able to on a particular ship or with a particular special. Then that might be a tell that hey, projectile speed's really important, and we can put HVR and this other thing on. Or the evade upgrades are kind of generic examples where I'm building a super niche evade tank, and yes, it's not as good as Guidance Scrambler 3 or whatever, but I'm building it for this very niche goal, and I am willing to sacrifice a lot of effectiveness, general effectiveness, in order to make it really good at this one thing that I need it to do. And I think we've kind of lost that more and more as we've gone along the way. But yeah, I think in general that the newest stuff should be best. If it doesn't stack and there's no weird stacking rules that don't make sense, like if they don't share any stats, then they should be able to stack. If there's some specific reason why they didn't, like if they tested specials A, B, and C together and they found, hey, this is way too strong, and this special was released a long time ago. Not a lot of players have it according to our metrics. Then I think they should say something like that. It's like, hey, here's why you can't do this. We're doing this so that more people can play with things that are more commonly acquired, or this was too strong. Like, was it? Oh goodness, which was it? The shit. It was a ballistic one where they're like, this is 400% more damage than we've ever known. Was it the Crusader? Was that what it was called? It was a really long time ago. But
Crusader or Templar, one of those two sounds correct to me.
Yeah, where they had to nerf it because it was like, this is 4 times as good as we thought. So we're going to tone it down and we're going to not change everything. Something like that. If it's done early enough, is fine. But yeah, it's weird. They're working with. There's so much creation built up over so many years. It's certainly not an easy task. I'm not saying that, but I do think that the best stuff should be the best unless you're doing a very niche build. The newer stuff should be the best, and that things should stack in a way that seems consistent. And for most players, I think that's if they're not sharing any stats, or if there's 2 very low stat increases for a particular stat, but there's also another special that has a very high increase for that stat. So you go, I can have a little bit of projectile speed and this other stuff, this damage buff, or I can go all in on projectile speed, not have the damage buff, and build like a counter heavy ship. And then you mess with your builds like that. Stuff like that I think is interesting.
If you're saying like we need a trade-off, and like, yeah, sure, I can buff my projectile speed by lose building damage. In the specific example of the Everest and K2 HVR debacle, my Everest with K2 actually does too much damage, so it splashes out and kills too many things. So I sometimes need to just use 2 ships, or I kill the second thing I would target off of. So I'm dealing too much damage, and HVR is perfectly fine because the trade-off is less damage, but the target seems tuned for that thing and tuned for the older thing to work well.
That's wow. Honestly,
like I'm doing twice as much damage as I should be.
So if I had a lot of faith in the team that has to buff the cannons because they're not as good as the older cannons, like I would praise that design decision.
They're better. The build time is just way higher. So,
I mean, better until there's the rank. It's strange, but that to me that sounds really cool from like a design perspective. But actually playing the game, when you consider how you have to do the FM now comparatively, it feels bad because we're used to having this style of stacking and rushing to just get the FM done every week, and having to split the ships up when we're not doing like an evade tank or a tank to get the splash out of the way of the back line. Splitting up ships is not something that we commonly do. So I think players would rally against that. And it's like, oh, this does too much damage. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, my brain likes it, but my heart doesn't. That makes sense? I'm done. I'm not talking.
To have me leave again.
Did he? I don't know.
Or we can talk about him until he gets back.
I'm out of energy. I've inhaled too much ash. If you're in California, stay safe for the love of God.
Yeah.
Make evacuation plans if you don't already have them, because there were fires pretty much everywhere.
If you're in Texas or Florida, keep an eye on the tropics. Or Louisiana.
Yeah, two for one.
If you're in
baby.
Texas or Florida, don't.
Okay. Using the technique that we showed as far as hitting the free stuff, how many hits did, assuming a triple salty, is anybody?
I still have not ranked anything up.
Yeah.
I had one that was already 60% ranked that I'm ranking up more. Or that was done. But that had mortars on it. No, these ones don't.
I'm guessing Lucius asks, you're using Hells in the target. Can you kill it with that and eat some Defender XP tokens?
No, you,
I,
you can't
I'm
kill with that because
Ballistas or
this turret right here
yeah,
outranges it. Use a Basilisk. You could do that. U2 Basilisk could kill this thing, but it's going to take forever.
No, I think one's going to skim by Florida. It could be hitting Texas twice, but we'll see.
Or Louisiana.
What?
Or Louisiana.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, it's not going to hit. Somewhere, Florida, maybe Florida Panhandle, but yeah, it looks like Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. So if it's going to hit twice, and who knows how those two storms are going to interact. They don't like to hang out with each other.
Yeah, but us Floridians, no, we never trust those predictions. Although the last one was pretty good.
I mean, 2 storms at once in Florida sounds like 2020.
It would.
But and that to it is same. Yeah, it's not gonna. No, it'll hit. One's aimed right at Texas. One's gonna hit. Currently predicted to hit Key West or Key Largo, one of the Keys, maybe Everglades City, and way south. Where a lot of people don't go in southern Florida, but the other ones seems to be aimed at Texas. So I don't project that happening. But all right. Besides weather talk, is there anything else the way you should be discussing? Are we still working out how to kill this? Is there a way to kill this target with Conqueror fleets?
Not that I have seen, or with words. Sorry, with a Basilisk, yes.
Okay. So
why are you not remote targeting onto?
So yeah, Lucius potentially with Basilisks, you can outrange everything, but these cannons on the right hand side of the current screen, they tear up Conquerors. So I mean, maybe have you tried to bring riots in there after you prepped out a lot of stuff?
Riots?
I'm not riots. Punishers. I'm sorry.
Punishers can get through this, but you'll take like half the fleet damage. So
yeah, but if you prep out, if you use like what you're doing, if you prep out most of it,
I'm still leaving most of the harpoons and stuff. So
okay.
You can't get through it easily. There's no way to do it in a fairly straightforward manner.
Okay.
Well, Liga, do you have your Gladius fleet finished?
Yeah. I put the I put the link up there for anybody that had that available.
Just have Thud 1? Well, Thud 1 doesn't do 1 billion damage, and these things appear to have about 1 billion health.
Yeah, that's not
I'm not exaggerating when I say 1 billion.
I'm glad that you're not exaggerating.
It's ridiculous. They keep adding new zeros onto everything.
Yeah.
Until they don't have to take these off necessarily. It's not like the raid store where they just we're taking out a 0.
That'd be quite something. You got the remove 0 token. That would be something. But
you have to maximize your damage to get it under the cap, so you don't accidentally lose a 0 in your damage.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Battle Pirates hell.
But then if you hit a critical, it goes over.
Oh no!
You can't go above a certain 2-bit integer.
Oh no! 65535. Wait, we did it. We got there, boys.
So
255 maxed out. Someone stop me, please.
Okay.
All right, I'm posting the link for the after show because I think we're probably done for the live show. So thanks everybody for showing up, and you know, hope you all do well, and you know, whatever encounters you run into.
Good night, all.
Remember to wash your hands and vote. I'm not sure what Yeah, that's probably the right order, right?
Might want to dry your hands before handling the ballot.
Okay. Oh, unless you're mailing it, yeah. Even if you're mailing again, unless you're
Don't
going to
look
steal
the
the.
envelope.
They don't like soggy ballots.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, folks.
Your brother counted for you.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you all on Wednesday, and send in your drinking contest things, and fill out the survey, and we'll see you all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.